Welcome to Rick's Corner Part 3. Now many of you have, or not many of you have written like really good responses to the steroid information. And I know I've hit a really deep subject here because nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to bury their heads in the sand when it comes up to steroids, which I don't think is necessary because it's out there and people need to be informed. Now, I'm not saying that you need to take them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take them. I'm not saying that you should take them. So I've had a few people who have accused me of peddling them and telling the young kids they should take them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just informing you of what happened in the 70s, what happens in the 80s, what happens in the 90s, what happens now. I'm just telling you what's out there. I'm not saying that you need to take these things to get to be great. I'm not telling you to, so please don't misunderstand me when I do say steroids were available. Here's what I took. I'm not taking them now. I definitely was not an addict. Someone accused me of that. No way. But we did experiment to see what would work and what wouldn't. Okay, I have my book with me here because I have to refer to some of this. I had said that back then we took D-bol, testosterone, enanthate, and DECA, and Winstrol was probably the main things that we were taking back then. But I forgot to mention that there was also Primobolan from Germany, which some of the guys brought over direct. It was a ready injectable vial that had a needle on it, and you just ready inject and shove it in with about a 3-inch needle. And that stuff was phenomenal. It really worked. I got huge on that. And my strength was unbelievable. Now, this is the first time I've ever taken anything, so of course my response is going to be a lot different than 20 years down the road where you take it again and you're used to it and your body doesn't respond like it used to. I mean, that's just how life works. Anything you do in life becomes routine and becomes, even your workouts become stale after a few weeks, so you have to change them up. And your body adjusts to certain medications, so you have to change them up. And your diet, you have to change as well. Well, those particular steroids back then worked really well. I did cycles of them. I didn't do them year-round because you're not supposed to. Some guys, even when they're off during the off-season, they're still on something, a mild amount. But later on in the 70s, I think it was closer to the 80s, we started coming out with Anadrol 50. Anadrol 50 is a really high testosterone steroid that can really break relationships. I mean, you take this stuff, your mood swings go from one to the other. I mean, I broke up with a girlfriend because my moods were so bad with this. I didn't like it at all. Another one was halotestin, which was very similar. I got it from a pharmacy. It was a strong androgenic steroid. Nordiethylene, Nordi 1, Nordi 2, they were called. I don't remember the components of them, but I remember taking them, and I know that they worked really well. There was a third one that came out, I don't remember the name at all, and it was for burning fat, and a friend of mine took it, and I read one of the side effects was death, and he didn't care. I said, anything to get big, right? I mean, this is like really ridiculous to take this kind of stuff. Why? So 30 years down the road and you're gone and that's it. Belastirone, no one even heard of that now. Belastirone was a composite of different testosterones and anabolics, and it had 25 anavar ground into it. You could shake it. You could see it was a milky type of substance. Half cc every day. My incline dumbbells went from 80s to 150s for reps within a week, and I have it documented on a video on my website. That's how well that stuff worked. It's not even around anymore. Finaject. Finaject was a derivative of Parabolan. Came in a 50 cc bottle for hardening, and you could inject it and taste the alcohol in it. Worked pretty well. Now, this is the 80s. This wasn't back in the 70s. Parabolan was around as well, and it worked very well. I was doing my t-shirt business at the time, and I was selling overseas to Paris and Italy and Germany and all these different places. And bodybuilders would come out here who own gyms, and they'd buy like $10,000 worth of printed shirts with my designs. And one of them from Paris said, do you want some substance from there? Would you like some Parabolan or something? I said, yeah, that'd be great. What are you going to charge me? He said, don't worry about it. And he sent me a gift box full of Parabolan, testosterone, and a powdered GH with a spoon, which I'd never seen before, for free. And so I tried the powder. I've never seen it since. You put it like a little saccharin spoon under your tongue every morning before you train, and it worked phenomenally. And I don't even know what it was or where it came from. I haven't seen it since. But those were some of the 80s drugs, and those were pretty popular. Sad thing is, you'd walk out of the gym and you'd see needles all over the parking lot. These guys didn't care where they were shooting it and what they were shooting. But it worked. GH wasn't really out on the market. There were some accused of taking it back in the 70s over in Germany because it was out over there, and I don't want to name any names, but I know a few guys who made phenomenal results from it. I got a friend of mine who I went to high school with was a family physician. I asked him for some GH, and he said, I'll give you one prescription only. And I filled it at our local pharmacy. Pharmacist thought I was nuts, but anyway, it was, I can't even remember, $220 for a bottle. Took it for like a week and got ripped. Unbelievable rip. Now, this came out of a cadaver out of dead people's pituitary, that's where the actual original GH came from. It wasn't a synthetic. And of course it had, I don't think it was differently cleaned to use through the years because people were dying, or they may have had diseases, who knows. But they actually went through a chemical thing and then made it into a synthetic where it actually worked much better and much cleaner. But it was just the verge of GH. It wasn't really out. Back in the 80s when we were doing this, it was basically, again, testananthe, Anadrol 50 very popular, Anavar very popular, Parabolin very popular, like I said, Finaject, and Equipoise. Now Equipoise is a horse steroid, and it's very similar to Deca, only it doesn't have the side effects that Deca does sexually, and so it works pretty well, and it comes in a big bottle, 50 cc's, $300, and it will increase your appetite, but even with the appetite increase, it will burn body fat, and you have to get it from a vet. Now, a lot of the guys were taking veterinary drugs because the veterinary drugs are cheaper, and they're basically the same. They're not as refined quality control, but really there's no side effects different between that and the human stuff. So we all took that, and I did as well. Now, the Equipoise I really did like. I thought it was pretty decent. But you got to take a lot of it again. You got to take 200 milligrams a week. I was taking 50 a week. I always went small. Everything I did, I always went small because I didn't want to inject something major and then feel really lousy. I remember once I did inject Parabolin, and it has this alcohol taste, and I felt it in my heart like instantly. It was just like a hollow feeling, and it went right through me. I thought, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. But within 10 seconds it went away, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to do that again. I think it was a whole cc, a half cc didn't do it. There weren't any phony drugs back in the 80s, if I remember right. I know that I could get Deca for like $1.50 a vial, D-ball for maybe $12 a 100, test for like, I know it was $10 a bottle, but it was all real. I mean, some of it came from the VA hospital, a lot of it came from pharmacies. And then, of course, like anything else in life, people start copying, putting labels on and sending you stuff that's not real. We did get a lot of stuff in Mexico. D-ball came out as a liquid in Mexico in a little brown bottle, yellow label. And what was really funny about that is I'd get a few of them, and the labels would be upside down. I mean, they wouldn't even take any pride in putting the label on. It was upside down. Some of the bottles would be full, some half full, some 3/4 full. It worked, but the quality control was really, really bad. Never had any problems with it, but it was bad. Even in Mexico today, you can get anything you want across the border. It's there. They'll sell it to you. But you take your life in your hands going down here because the drug cartels, there's like murders constantly down at the border, a lot of shootings. This is pretty much the 80s. I'm not going into the 90s today, but I wanted you to hear what we did back in the 70s and how it changed in the 80s. I know that when I was 45, I was probably in my best shape ever, ripped to shreds. And it wasn't that I took so much in the way of steroids, but I had changed my diet to all fish for a year. So I kind of attribute that to my diet more than what I was taking. Because when you do take things, if you don't eat right, you're just going to get fat, you're going to get pimply, and it's not going to work. You're going to hold a lot of water. The idea is to have quality muscle, not to hold a lot of water. So this is just to inform you what we did in the 70s and what we did in the 80s. This is not by any means am I telling you to go out and take it. So you guys that write me and chew me out for saying this kind of stuff, get your head out of the sand. This is real life, buddy. And also, you probably are the same guys who hide in the closet sexually and watch porno all day long and don't want to talk about it. So don't accuse me of something. I'm being honest with you. There's nothing wrong with being honest. And I'm not going to lie about these things. This is the fact, and this is the way it is, because I tell it like it is. And stay tuned for part 4 on Rick's Corner. Have a good workout.